Find problems and solve problems. That's literally it. That's the answer to this video, and you can click off right now if you want to. You see, improving your life is literally the same as getting better at a skill, getting better at a school subject, or maybe getting better at a sport. To get better at literally anything, you need to focus on the problems, the constraints. What you tend to do, what I tended to do like in the past, is I kept inputting and inputting and inputting, thinking that the main problem will eventually go away. So you see, people overcomplicate self-improvement so much. They meditate, they gratitude journal, they get sunlight exposure, they do cold showers, they do this, they do that. So they constantly input. And now I'm not saying like those habits are bad. They are good for you. They are really good for you. But the problem is still there. The problem is still present. The problem hasn't gone away. What you do is you constantly input things, thinking that eventually that habit, that thing that you inputted, will help solve that problem. But the thing is, what if instead of inputting first, you first find the problem and then you input the habit? What if you first find your constraint? What if you first found out what you were struggling with and then you input the habit to solve that problem? Like, if I was told this 2 years back, my progress would be way up over here. When I first started out, I followed the main route, just like inputting stuff, which I'm not saying it's bad. It helps your life. So I started meditating. I started sunlight exposure. I started, what else did I do? Cold showers. I started showing like gratitude. And those did improve my life by a lot. But the problem was still there. And my problem was social skills. I couldn't like talk to strangers. I felt awkward and it just felt uncomfortable talking to people. So I didn't solve that problem until like literally a few months back. And you know how I kind of like solved this problem was just by exposing myself more to strangers, just like nodding at them, smiling at them, and just like getting into small interactions with them. And just by doing that, my life went from over here to over here, because now I'm more free to talk to strangers. Like in school, I talk a lot now. I talk to those, like the people who sit in my table. I talk to people in lunchtime. I talk to people in the library. I talk to the staff members, the teachers. Now I'm not like socially awkward or anything. Now I can talk, and now I'm social, and I solved that problem. But what if I identified this problem 2 years back when I first started my journey? The time to overcome this problem, the time to solve this problem would still be the same, right? But I would solve this faster and then move on to the next problem and the next problem and the next problem and so on. Then I've made like this much progress. That's how I'm saying that if I knew that the point of self-improvement is to find problems and then solve them, if I knew this, I would make like this much progress in the beginning. And you can still do this. What are you struggling with right now? What are your constraints? Why is that your constraint? Ask yourself these questions. Maybe for some guy, let's say it's procrastination, right? They fail to get their work done on time, or they constantly delay their tasks until the last moment. So, and he doesn't even know that's a problem because he constantly focuses on inputting habits into their lives, inputting more and more and more habits. But the thing is, you must minimalize the habits that you input into your life so that you can solve the main problem in front of you. If he knew the problem was procrastination, he might like start reducing his screen time. He might start getting the habit of decreasing the time spent on social media. Maybe he would go on a dopamine detox. Maybe he would meditate more. That's how he would solve the problem right in front of him. People nowadays, they don't even know what the constraint is in their life. They don't ask the question of what they are struggling with. That's why they might make progress. I'm not saying that you won't make progress if you don't do this, but you could have made this much progress, but instead you make this much progress because you don't focus on the problem. So ask yourself, what am I struggling with the most right now? And what can I do about it? Why am I struggling with this? If you spend an entire hour on these questions, like journaling on these questions, I know I can guarantee you that this will minimize the time required to get from A to be, the point you want to be in, the goal you want to achieve. It's the same for goals. Let's say you have a goal to get an A star on your math exam. So instead of just doing more and more and more and more in maths, stop and see which math problem that you struggle with the most. Let's say some guy struggles with addition. Just a hypothetical situation. Let's say you struggle with addition. So instead of doing like multiplications, divisions, or subtractions, focus on addition, right? That's a logical thing to do. But people like that guy, he will focus on doing more and more and more and more math problems instead of focusing on the main constraint that he faces. You can't just do. You must stop, analyze the situation you're in, and if it's bad, like if you're not making progress, then ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not making progress? What are my constraints? And if it's good, like if you are making progress, ask yourself, what am I doing right? Why am I making progress? You need to take feedback from the situation in your life. And then you need to continue doing it more and more and more if the result is good, or if the result is bad. If you're not making progress, change what you're doing. Change how you tackle the situation. You see, wait, hold on one second. I love chess. I love chess for a long time. And when I first started it, I used to play a shit ton of games. Almost like every day. This was during COVID times, by the way. That's why I could play so much. First few months of playing, I made pretty good progress. I went from rating of 700 to 950. And the main way I did that was just by playing more and more and more and more in matches, playing more and more opponents. But then after a few months of just like doing that strategy, just playing more and more and more, my rating remained at 950. It didn't increase. It didn't go from 950 to 1000 or whatever. It stayed literally the same, exact same. Only after I stopped and started analyzing my games, like the blunders I made each game, the mistakes I made, where I made those mistakes, what mistakes my opponent made, which openings I played good. Only after I did that, I saw huge progress. My rating went from 950 to 1400, and that is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. But only after I started analyzing the situation of my games and then taking the feedback and changing my approach, that's when I made the most progress. You see, if you find yourself in a place where you realize that you're not making progress at all, you're seeing no improvements in your life, just stop for a second and analyze the situation you're in and ask questions like, what am I struggling with? What am I struggling with? Why am I struggling with it? What can I do about it? What are the habits that I can implement in my life to tackle this problem, to solve this problem? And this doesn't just apply for your life. It applies for, like I said, chess. It applies for a skill that you're learning. It applies for a sports skill you're learning, maybe football, basketball, or you trying to get better grades. It applies for everything in your life. You need to just stop for a second and analyze the situation you're in, take the feedback, and change your approach. Ask yourself questions like, what am I struggling with? Why am I struggling with this problem? What can I do about it? What solutions can I do to solve this problem? Take a few days of just stop what you're doing, because most of us, at least what I did, I didn't want to stop and ask these questions because I thought like it's better to just keep going. It's better to do the habits, do the past papers, do the play the matches in chess, rather than just taking a second to stop and analyze, because analyzing, it takes effort, it takes time, it takes work. It's something that we are not used to. That's why we don't do it. It feels uncomfortable. But the thing is, only once you do this, only once you implement this thing, this to stop and analyzing your situation, to find the problems and see how you can solve the problem, that's when you will make the greatest amount of progress. That's when you will stop feeling that you're not making any progress at all, and that's when you make this much amount of progress. Like right now, you're making progress. Don't get me wrong, you're making progress. You're making this much amount of progress. What I'm saying is just analyzing your situation will help you make this much amount of progress. Find the core problem, find the core constraint that is preventing you to go from level 1 to level 2, level 2 to level 3, and so on. Anyways, you can dislike this video if you make no progress at all after doing that. But anyways, just make it happen, bro. I'll see you in the next one.
See ya.